to certain people, and it just blew my mind. But it just goes to show how you have to stay on top of that stuff. I'll have a couple more stories like that, but it goes for anybody. Hit the button. We good? Yep, we're good. Okay, so we'll go to the next one. All right, here's a new one that's coming. Any of the young people in here, do you have Discords? Anyone ever heard of this, youngsters? Discords? I hear this a lot in my school. Discord is what we used to consider a chat room. You can get there by gaming, and it's an alternative route. And when you game, you have a lot of gamers. A lot of boys, but a lot of girls game too. And one thing for parents to watch out for, there is never, and make this clear to your kids, there's never a reason, number one, to have someone that they don't know on the other end, but it's inevitable that it's going to happen. But there is never a reason to divert from that game itself into a private chat, unless you know that person. Never. That's the biggest red flag there is to me. If they ask you, hey, let's go talk on the side, And parents, keep up with that, because that is a red flag like no other. And the statistics on predators, we think we get this thing in our mind that a predator may just be working on your child. The average predator, that's what they do. They wake up during the day and see, who can I get next? They have 10, 20, 30 kids that they're working on at any given time. I mean, that's literally their obsession. So they're working constantly. And if you safeguard it, they'll just move right on to the next one. But you don't want it to be yours. And obviously the goal for us is to make every parent aware of this and just teach them how to combat this. But that's one huge thing. If they want to go talk private and you don't know who they are, that's a no-no. Here's the Oculus one that I'm talking about. I'm going to show you a video on, there's a few videos here that we'll let play out. Just they're really short, a couple minutes each, but they're scary stories.
Fort Pierce man has been arrested, accused of kidnapping a Utah girl. Police are calling it the first case involving a virtual reality system. Police say Chris Evans talked with the girl for more than a month through Oculus. That's a virtual reality headset. Our investigative reporter Terry Parker is live tonight. And Terry, how did this happen on this gaming platform?
Well, if you don't know, Tiffany, Oculus is a meta platform game where you put on a headset, it covers your eyes, and then you play the game in virtual reality. It also has messaging and chat features, and experts warn that you need to be wary of who your child is talking to under those headsets.
Really is problematic. It's what is putting predators in touch with our children directly. It is these gaming platforms.
Online gaming can be serious. Virtual relationships can lead to real-life exploitation, according to Carly Yost of the Child Rescue Coalition.
Most all of the Oculus games allow for interactive communication. So you're actually in a room playing with people all around the world. When they play that game with them, they feel like they have that friendship, that bond and connection.
Wyoming police last Thursday found a missing 13-year-old Utah girl in the back of a semi-truck at a truck stop in Cheyenne. Police say 25-year-old Chris Evans of Fort Pierce had been communicating with the girl using Oculus for about a month, and then apparently made contact with her in Utah and took her to the truck stop. The girl was in good health, and Evans was arrested.
And the most dangerous thing is they build a friendship with these children and really groom them through these chat rooms.
Oculus is different from most other games in that you can't see or hear what is happening behind your child's headset as they talk with strangers, some who could be potential predators.
And there's no written text of that conversation that they had. There's no log of it, and there's no one really monitoring this. So it really is asking your kids these questions. Who are you talking to?
And you can disable chats and messaging. And Yost tells me that's really important for young kids that you do that even if they argue against it. So they have a lot of other tips on how to protect your children from gaming situations as well as other things that could be threats online. You can find them under the education tab on their website, and I'm going to put a link to that on my story on our WPBF.com. Terry Parker, WPBF 25 News.
Fort Pierce fan has been
So for any game, not just Oculus, but any gaming that kids do, specifically Oculus because it's, you can put the headphones on and you can just see, they're kind of in your own world. Get them headphones out of there. Get a speaker. Everyone should be able to hear that. Don't put it in their room. Put it in the living room. Put it somewhere where it's public so that you can keep a close eye on it. Take the messaging and the private chatting thing, take it off of there. There's an option. So look for these on any gaming platform, and like I said, they're going to be evolving. So just keep tabs on what you can do to avoid stuff. All right, here's a big one, because we're going to come across this. This is what I came across a couple months ago. Like, what do we do now? So there's some good hints, and it may not be. These are kind of suggestions from Rich. I'm never going to tell another person how to parent. But these are just kind of good ideas, and maybe to kind of get into a child's head and work on the trust between you and your child, because ultimately that's what you want. You want to turn them loose and be able to trust eventually. That's what we raise them up for. What we call the golden ticket. A lot of people think that's the first thing you do. Take your child's device away. I'm not a big advocate of it because they may need it. When you get into sports, my kids are in sports, every notification what time practice is, it comes right to them. But there's other things that you can do. You can downgrade that thing. You can say, I got a backup flip phone right here. Here, you're taking this one. You may need them to have an emergency. You can actually downgrade everything on that phone just to make it basic. There's a lot of different things that you can do. I'm not going to tell a parent, snatch that phone away. You can. There's nothing wrong with that. But me, myself, my daughter, she takes the bus home, and she has to walk 2 blocks. So I would always want her to have some sort of way to contact me. I would rather teach them how to be responsible and then build more of a trust. So the golden ticket that we say, he further describes it here. Let me see if it's on that next one. I'll show you. I will start this in 2 seconds. The golden ticket for me, ultimately with my daughters, my son's grown, so I'll refer to my daughters the most. My son's old, he's 23, so he's a man. But I want to earn their trust. I want them to say, you know what, I can come to you with anything. If they're in trouble, if they got themselves in a jam, if they sent some pictures that they think might get exposed now, I want them to be able to come to me so we can fix it. My philosophy has always been you don't want to be that unapproachable parent that they will hide everything from you. If I tell them, you know what, baby girl, if you're hurting, I'm not going to get mad at you. We're going to deal with it together. There will be consequences, but they should be able to, it should be an open door. They should be able to want to come and talk to you about this type of stuff because their life can depend on it. So this is a movie. This is a real short clip, but I would suggest going home and watching the whole YouTube with your child because it's really informative, and it'll help you keep up with certain criteria that goes on these days that otherwise we may not know. And I just hit the wrong button. Let me see. How do we go back? Here we go.
A long time ago, families were in communities. They were local, they were small.
I was born in the very depths of the Great Depression. I was put to work carrying wood, carrying water. I knew how to shell peas, I knew how to break beans. We still didn't have electricity.
I have 2 Instagram accounts.
I use Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok.
TikTok and Fortnite. I can just scroll for hours on end, 11 hours a day.
8, 9.
Maybe like 12.
It's actually been a way that we can keep track of them out there in the real world where things really are scary.
The lives of kids were sort of changing slowly for a while, and then all of a sudden, most kids were able to get on social media, and that's when everything skyrocketed.
The rates at which they're experiencing problems continues to increase.
We also know that the teen suicide rate increased 56%.
Last year alone, we received over 18 million reports of international and domestic online child sexual abuse.
We have traded false sense of safety and security for actually putting our kids in riskier situations. Called the race to the bottom of the brainstem. So it starts with techniques like pull to refresh.
Every guy has an addiction to it, but no one talks about
But
it.
it's just faster now, and it's younger.
Well, yeah, like nudes of girls going to school all the time. At the beginning of the year, there were multiple suicides before school even started. There were men that wanted to talk to children at all hours of the day and night.
On Snapchat, one thought it'd be a funny idea to talk the other one into committing suicide, and she didn't. She's dead.
After about 6 weeks, we're in practice home.
The kids right now are going to experience the worst of what we're going through.
Do any of your parents know that this happens?
No, my kid won't do that. My kid would never. My kid's school isn't like that. You're wrong.
Because what they see, they feel neurologically compelled to do.
Right now, we're effectively living in an experiment. How is this going to affect us? We'll find out.
So that's a pretty informative video if you ever get a chance, the Childhood 2.0. Here's something that's huge. And this is, I've seen, we're getting more and more cases of this. Has anyone ever heard of this? It's basically, it's basically it's what predators and people that you may know. It could be a friend of your child that can hold you and hold us above your head. They have an MO. What they want to do, for the predator and the stranger, the MO would be to start a chat, and it always leads into them sending, and usually it's not even a picture of them. Maybe it's a picture of another one of their victims, a picture of someone that just randomly say, they'll send it, and it'll be accepted by your child. And then the big thing that comes next, every time, is, okay, now you owe me a picture. And if a compromising picture is sent back, now they got them. Now they can do whatever they want with that. Especially if it's a compromising picture. And a friend can do this too. Someone the child knows, a bully from school. But once they have that compromising picture, they have that child's identity, their fragile ego, their fragile sense of who they are. They have it right there in the palm of their hands. Do what they want. Oh, send me more, I'm going to post this. Send me more, I'm going to send this to your mom. Send me more, I'm going to put this all over the school. So that's how it starts and keeps going. And at that point, most kids, what's most young child going to do? Be terrified to tell their parent. Mom, you're going to be mad at what I did. But that's what we want them to do. That's where the golden ticket plays hand in hand. But you'd be surprised how many kids get sucked right into that. And perfect example, I've been working a case of a compromising picture for the last 2 days at school. It was taken in the bathroom. And I've been working. So far, we've tracked it to a small amount of phones. But that's a perfect example. This stuff happens all the time. We just got to be able to track it. We got to be able to have them tell us about it, and then know how to deal with it, which I'm going to teach you.
I also don't think that most children, heck, even most adults, don't understand that a digital footprint, anything that goes out, you can say, I deleted it.
Yeah.
It is not gone.
No, it's not.
I work in forensic technology.
Oh, so you know. So you know.
We had a client who took a bullet to their hard drive, took a gun, shot their hard drive, put multiple bullets in it, and tossed it into Lake Michigan. It was rescued, resurrected, brought up, and they were still able to retrieve data off of it. It doesn't go anywhere.
That is a beautiful story to let the kids know.
Go
Yes.
anywhere. It is there forever.
And that's a lot of kids think the delete photo history that is gone. No, not even close. You know full and well how that works.
The minute it hit the web, okay, it is there forever.
Yep.
And will come back to haunt them when they go from being middle school kids to being an adult, getting a job, what comes up, etc.
You can look at like it mainstream media in Hollywood. They're bringing up pictures from pictures and tweets from a decade ago. Yeah, and they're still, and they're coming back. So that stuff, that's so true. It doesn't go anywhere. So that's why it's so dangerous.
Hi Zach, here's another video for our special guy. I can't believe we haven't talked all day. I wish you went to my school a little closer so we could finally meet. Hey kiddo. Get out an hour. Don't spend too long with them. I know that you've been waiting with me for a while. I wanted to give you something special.
Who are you? Why are you doing this?
Probably in January.
All right, so I mean that's just a perfect example. I mean, that can go just as well for boys as it can for girls, and it could be someone that you know. It's not always a dark stranger. It could be just a manipulator that is an acquaintance of them.
Losing control of your nude images online is terrifying. And if you're a teen, it may feel impossible to reverse it. Well, you can't go back in time and unsend. We can help you move forward.
We are fighting back against this type of stuff, and that's why there's more education going on, and police are being trained on this like crazy. When I started the Detective Bureau 10 years ago, when I started 28 years ago, we didn't have not nearly as much as we have now. I mean, the officers, every officer is being trained on, number one, how to go after this with an initial report, and the detectives, there's always a specialty guy in the Detective Bureau nowadays. Rich is a big part of that. He's huge on training this. So we do know how to combat this stuff. And there's technology that you can see, and we'll have all that information on Rich's site that you can go if you're in a jam or if your child comes clean about some stuff. This is a big one too. In my house, didn't realize it, didn't even think about it because that trust factor. But kids are so impulsive, and I just got burned. When did the bad guys come out normally at night, right? We always said that when we were kids. Your mom wanted you to be home by dark because you don't know who's out there. Same thing with the internet now. It's the exact same thing. Predators and a friend, like I'll keep repeating that. It's not always just predators. They come out when they know parents are sleeping. So what's the best solution to that? We have a rule now. I got my daughters, all of the little ones, their iPads get turned in. My 14-year-old, her phone gets right in the kitchen, right there in a central dock. It stays there. And then you can verify with screen times, and you make sure that they stay off of that. Because at nighttime, and kids, you know they won't sleep. Heck, I can't function without, when I'm sitting there bored, it's like a rabbit hole. You keep scrolling up, you see shorts, you just keep doing it. So if my old brain can't handle that, what do you think a youngster's gonna do? So that is a huge thing. Keep those phones right in a certain spot, whether it's on your nightstand, whether it's in a central area, but know that after a certain time, it's gotta be turned in. I don't have to tell you about this one. I got burnt. Been getting burnt. You want great communication, but they will shock you with what they come with. I used to think this. And this is where I give my hats off to moms. Moms are so much more talented than dads. That's just a fact. You guys have this thing where you understand that something is not right, and you can just tell. And my head is in the clouds. I'm like, well, what? How do you even know that? But moms, if your maternal instincts are telling you something's wrong, obviously there's something wrong. And I always encourage my dads to just let them lead the way. If they feel that something is away, just let them lead the way. And one huge mistake that I've made myself, and that I would encourage you not to make, and if you have made that mistake, let's scale back on that, is telling war stories. It's hard for me now. I actually wrote a book, so once my kids are of age to read it, they want to read it. I wrote a lot of stuff in that book that maybe they'll know about me growing up. But war stories do so much damage for the kids. Because at a minimum, they're going to do what you did and maybe probably try to break it. But what's the biggest thing they're going to say? Well, you did it. So don't tell your kids about, back in my day, we used to smoke weed and the teacher didn't care. Back in my day, we could drink when we were 18. Back in my day, we got in these fights, so we did this and that. And just those stories do no use. And they're going to say, I guarantee they're going to say, because I've had it happen with my two oldest. Well, you did this, so avoid that at all costs. And it is okay. It is okay to kind of deny things to your child. It's not immoral because you're serving a higher purpose. So my kid asked me, if they ask you, did you do this when you could? No, I don't remember doing that. That's okay. You're serving a better purpose. No war stories, remember that.
Meeting a teen girl online is actually pretty easy. You can go into any chat room and just start talking. Most of the girls are usually so insecure and desperate for attention.
Attention from older guys is totally flattering. They're so much more mature and understanding than the guys my age.
Age actually works to my advantage. They like to brag to their friends that they're dating an older guy, so I just play along and pretend I'm really interested.
Interested in the same things I am. You can talk forever and really get to know someone without worrying about looks or whatever. That's the best thing about
Chatting seems unthreatening to them, so they lower their guard. After a while, I start talking about how we're soulmates and how lucky we are to have found each other.
Other people don't understand. I know what I'm doing. If you really care about each other, there's nothing wrong with me.
Meeting them is the goal. Once I get them out of their house, well, that's when things get really interesting.
Online predators know what they're doing. Do you?
4 things that you need to know. If your child is either chatting with somebody, or messaging, the DMs, everyone know what DMs are? The direct messages on social media. If they're DMing or chatting with somebody that they can't tell you who that person is, there's 4 things you need to know. If they can't tell you the name, their address, what school they go to, and if they won't take a video call. Say, hey, mandate it. It's like, girl, I don't know who that dude is. I don't know who that boy is. Call him right now. Just say, I'm gonna stand here right now. Say, I want to call you right now because my parents don't know, my dad don't know who you are, and he just wants to make sure you're real. If they have any story, if they have any excuse, huge red flag. That person gets blocked. So remember those 4 things: name, address, school, and a video. Everyone in here has a video. Nobody can say that, oh, mine's broken. My second grader has a video on her little Chromebook. I have probably about 5. There's laptops have videos, Chromebooks have videos, iPads have videos, any tablet has video, and cell phone has video. So there's never an excuse to not do that. And if they give you the runaround, red flag, they're gone. And they can manipulate cameras too. If there's a glitch with their camera, if it looks foggy, and they're claiming, oh, it must be on your end. No, it's a game, and you got to recognize that. Another thing that's huge these days that we're going to have to start keeping an eye at this age is the drug deals aren't what they used to be. Drug deals are done on Snapchat these days. They're sold. I find it all the time. Fights are handled through Snapchat these days. Beefs, drugs, and sadly school shootings are given away on social media these days. But drugs is a huge thing. And parents, we're not talking about what some of us may have grown up on, just buying a nickel bag, a dime bag, and smoking. The drugs nowadays that's cool, that's in all the songs, it's glamorized and it's scary and sad. It's pills. And I'm telling you, I see it in my city all the time. Those little pills that they sell, they'll sell them as Xanax, as Molly's, there's all kind of different names. There's Percocets. There's all kind of pills, oxys that are made through the cartels. A lot of them come from China. A lot of them are made in Mexico with that fentanyl in it. And that is, it's so evil beyond what I can even comprehend. And I've seen it in my own city. I've seen it in homicide investigations that I've conducted. I've seen some of these little drug dealers. I've seen one of them. I'll never forget this. I seen one of them. He's talking on one of the lives. I don't remember which one it was, but he's live. And he's laughing about, they call them crash test dummies. Who's going to take that pill that he knows is laced? It's a game to them. It's so evil beyond what I had to rewind that to watch that again. But that's what goes on. They know a lot of it is just fake. It looks exactly, they can stamp a pill that will look, if you put an oxy that a doctor prescribes and one that comes from China or Mexico illegally, there's no telling the difference by looking at that thing. And it's the most scary thing ever because popping a pill is the new. Remember when we were kids, hey, try this cigarette here, take a puff of this. That's what it used to be. Now it's, hey, see what this pill does. And it could kill you. Gummies. Gummies is huge now. We see those in the junior highs. So be aware of that. But it's all done on social media. All of it. I seen not even too long ago, a kid who's got, and they'll have a picture, a pill, right on the screen. Who's got, where, who wants to meet up? You say match. Match was a key word to where do you meet and do this deal. Everything. There's some of the Percocet pills. There's stuff to smoke, stuff to inhale, ingest. Everything you can think of, and it's getting younger and younger who's doing this. These are the ones you got to learn. If you check out their social media, you'll see who they are. Kids have everything on their social media. Their whole identity you will find in their social media, whether they're sad, who they hang out with, whether they're happy, mad, all their emotions, what they're doing. It's all about clout. It's all about, let me get noticed. It's all about, this is who I am, who can do who can get the most views and likes, and that's the identity these days. And we got to accept that that's how it is. How do we deal with it?
A big warning for all parents from TV host and relationship therapist Dr. Laura Berman saying her 16-year-old son tragically and suddenly passed away after overdosing on drugs he bought off the app Snapchat. Haley Harton joins us with more on this story. Good morning, Haley.
Good morning, Amy. Sammy was a top student. He had big dreams, and his sights set on going to NYU. Dr. Berman says she thought her son used Snapchat like kids do to send silly photos back and forth with his friends. She never imagined that he could use the app to find a drug dealer.
A teenage boy with too much energy and stuck at home, isolated and bored, thought he could experiment with something and had no idea it would kill him.
This morning, Dr. Laura Berman is grappling with the death of her 16-year-old son Samuel after an apparent drug overdose.
He was playing video games with his friends, he was totally fine. And then an hour later, he was, unconscious on the floor and not breathing.
The relationship therapist, seen on the Oprah Winfrey Network, is still waiting on the toxicology report, but she believes Xanax, laced with fentanyl, killed her son. Dr. Berman saying her son bought the drugs from a dealer he met on Snapchat. After his death Sunday, she says one of her son's friends shared the dealer's profile with her.
This guy also had on his ad with a beautiful, colorful, kid-friendly list of all the things he offered.
What was your understanding
Seen lots of that.
how your son was using social media?
He would Snapchat his friends, and I had no idea that, there were dealers on there.
The Santa Monica police telling ABC News a preliminary investigation leads us to believe prescription drug use may have been involved, but not commenting on the role social media allegedly played. The danger online is pervasive. One study finding 1 in 4 young people report seeing illicit drugs advertised for sale on social media. In a statement to ABC News, Snapchat saying, "We are committed to working together with law enforcement in this case and in all instances where Snapchat is used for illegal purposes. We have zero tolerance for using Snapchat to buy or sell illegal drugs."
There are clear signs outside of social media use that can indicate whether or not someone is hopeless or helpless or is experiencing an increase in a desire to use substances. And it looks a lot like isolation, and it looks a lot like anger and anxiety and withdrawing behaviors, doing worse in school.
Looking back, were there any warning signs that you feel like you missed?
No, this was a kid that was like almost a straight A student.
What does justice look like for you now?
Justice is just saving one more life, and the more we can, the better. Even if it just wakes one child up to not take this risk and to understand what's at stake.
Snapchat says they're constantly improving the app's technological capabilities to detect drug-related activity so that they can intervene proactively. And they say if you witness illegal behavior on Snapchat, use the app's tools to report it. Amy?
Yeah, this is a huge wake-up call for so many parents out there. Haley, thank you so much. A big one.
Another one to keep up on. I know this is a lot, but they have their own language. Emojis is ever evolving and hard to keep up with, but Rich will actually have a key code if you want to check out some of this stuff. This is all available on his website. But that's another thing. Another thing is the acronyms that they use. That's ever evolving too. So if you want to keep up on what your child is doing, the language they speak, it's almost their own little language. Different words they use. Get familiar with that stuff. We actually had one of our old school detectives used to come to me and ask me all the time, what does this mean? What does WTW mean? He'd have all kind of acronyms and just ask me, and you had to kind of learn it. And it always changes. Here's another one too, because these kids are crafty, smart. Technology doesn't seem to care. How many in here what human being needs to have 2 calculators on their phone? None. It's a red flag. You don't need 2 calculators. Most kids don't use 1. No need to have 2. But all you got to do is go in your app store, type it in. Hide my pictures, hide my videos. These pop right up. These calculators. And that's another thing to check your kid's phone for. Hidden apps. They're vaults. They're easy to download. There is a code to break them though. Rich has it on here. And if you want to take out a picture or a phone, you can take pictures of this stuff anytime, or you can find it online, but there is a break. It'll show up on an icon like that, but it'll be hidden. And here's the code to break it. Dot, 1, 2, 3, 4 dot, and then the AC button. There's also a shake feature now. I mean, like, we need more things for kids to be able to hide. There's a shake feature now. You can shake the phone and to get them out of there. I mean, that's insane. Anything to make money for some of the technology companies, I guess. Did you guys know about the Snapchat, the hidden features? I didn't know this. When you go, anyone here, any parents in here have Snapchat, familiar with Snapchat? If you open it and you go to that screen, that opening screen, next to the button, there's a little deck of cards next to it. If you tap on that deck of cards and you scroll over on the top where it says screenshot stories, there's for my eyes only. That's a hidden vault. For my eyes only, it's a hidden vault. So if you tap on it, it comes up with this. It's another code. That's where they can hide pictures at. So if you find this, and just remember, I usually let off with this, I forgot to tell you this, but something to keep in mind, and this is a philosophy I will live and die by, that is not my child, that is not my daughter's cell phone. That is my cell phone that I allow her to use.
Thank you.
So at any, kids, I know you hate to hear this, right to privacy while you're living on your mother or father's roof? None when it comes to your cell phone. No right to privacy.
If you're not paying for
Zero.
it, you don't
Yep.
own it.
Even if you are paying for it, I say.
Well, that's my house, my rule.
Yeah, exactly. While you live here, you have no right to privacy.
Right.
Kids get mad at me all the time. I put a video like that on my YouTube. I got trolled and called so many names by kids. They hated it. Too bad. I live with it. So for my eyes only. If you see this, if you have a suggestion, or if you have an inclination, mothers especially, because you guys are so good at that, right here, give me a phone. Right now, no, give it to me, right now. Hand it over. Put your code in there to open it. If you find this, put your code in there. Mom, I don't remember my code. Mom, I can't. Mom, I don't want to. You're going to get mad at me. Give me your code. Now, they still want to combat that? There's a little feature on here. Let me see. You go to options. Options right here. If you forgot your password, hit forget password, because Snapchat's going to text that phone right away, and then you'll know the code. You can set your own password on there. Get rid of that, because at my eyes only, that's where they hide all the stuff they shouldn't be sending. That's a good one to know, because Snapchat is so predominant among young people these days. And you could teach the next portion of this right here. You could teach this part right here. No one is anonymous. You can find anyone at any time. It goes up to the cloud. It can be traced. Any given point, anywhere on earth. Nothing is hidden on the internet. She explained that earlier, and that's so perfectly said. You cannot get rid of it. Goes up to a cloud, we'll find it. It's connected somewhere. And this is what we covered earlier. 75% of the incidents that you see of school violence, school shootings, all that stuff, the Highland Park kid, you put all this stuff on social media, you see it. They foretell this. 75% of school massacres have been connected. There's some sort of allusion. They alluded to it on their social media. So parents, watch your kids' stuff. Watch their friends' stuff. Get into what they're doing. I mean, you check up on them. It should be a normal routine thing. My wife, just randomly, we'll be watching a ball game or we'll be watching a movie or something. Jamie, get in here. Let me check your phone. So it's just a normal thing. She does the same thing to me. I got nothing to hide. You got nothing to hide. You got nothing to hide. So just make that a routine. Baby, let me check your phone. Don't take it personal. I always tell you can blame me because I investigate the stuff. I can tell you nightmare story after nightmare story, but let me see your phone. Let me check it. And then you do so. And it'll get them in this hint. In this mode that they can trust you and trust doing that. And that's what we want to do all together. We just want to have kids and parents that can trust each other. But school violence is always foretold for the most part. If you see something, then say something. If you have the slightest inclination, this is what I don't want to hear from citizens ever, is, oh, I didn't want to bother you, to the police. I didn't want to call because I thought it was maybe it was nothing. I didn't want to bother you guys. You've never bothering us. It is our job. We work for you. We are servants of the people. You are actually our boss. So if you want us to look into something, no matter how small you think it might be, call. Call the non-emergency. Hey, can you have somebody come out here? I'm going to check this out. And if they don't do their job, if you don't feel satisfied, I have no problem. I'm notorious for calling out bad police, lazy policing. If you don't feel satisfied, there should never be a time where you walk away from a police interaction where you needed them to help you and you felt like they didn't really help me, or they were rude to me, or I don't think they're doing everything they can. You should never feel like that. If you feel like that, call and say, I want to speak to a superior, a supervisor. Go ahead. And if they're being lazy, don't worry about getting them in trouble, because they should be doing their job anyway. So don't ever hesitate. Don't ever think you're bothering the police. You see the slightest thing. We investigate these all the time. Little minor threats. A kid posts a gun. Maybe it's a BB gun. We don't know. He posts a picture of it. I'm coming to school. Or he's a student at the school and he has that. We will look into that. I've been called out in the middle of the night many, many times because of a threat, something like that, a picture. Something on Snapchat. 99% of the times on Snapchat. But we will track that down and we won't rest. Lost a lot of sleep over that, but I'm glad to. We will not rest until we knock on a door. We talk to a kid face to face, talk to his parents face to face, check his room, and verify. I don't care you were joking. We're going to sit here and verify that so every one of them students feels safe and we know this is resolved. PDs take that very seriously nowadays. And time is of the essence. Here's just more statistics on the school shooters that I was alluding to. Here's one that we actually use a lot, because regardless of like I said, I'll never try to tell you how to raise your child, but they do have an identity to kind of protect, to save a little bit of face. So you want them to be able to call you in a situation where they know they probably shouldn't be in, but they don't want to lose face in front of their friends. That's everything to a child. Whether we like it or not, that's everything to a child. So there's a key word. Let's say an example is they're at a party that you gave them permission to go to, but you didn't know the kids were going to be there getting drunk. You didn't know that people were going to be there trying to offer her, boys are there trying to do things that she don't want them to do, and it's something that she wants to get out of, but she went there with two of her friends. She don't want to lose face. So we have a code word. In my house, it's avocado. So if she texts me avocado, or she texts her, there's some sort of communication that she wants to get her out of there, but she doesn't want to text in front of her friends, mom or dad, come get me. I don't want to be here. It's a code word. She'll text me. I'll know what she's talking about. I'll say, hey, your grandma just fell. We got to run her to the hospital. I need to come get you. You can make something up just to have them save face so they can trust that they're not going to be humiliated for leaving a situation they don't want to be in. Because kids, peer pressure is everything to kids. So set something up like that. There's a secret language, you guys. Between you and your kids. Just something subtle that you can get them out of a bad situation. Another big thing too, let them know that if you come clean, there'll be no punishment. That's what I advocate for. Always, young people, this is the litmus test. If you're going to text something that you wouldn't text in front of your parents, your pastor, or your principal, don't send it. That's a good rule of thumb. All right, here's what you do. There's a lot of statutes that you might not know is illegal activity. One huge one that we have a problem at our school right now is kids putting up fake profiles. They'll put a profile, they'll be bullying a kid, they'll put his profile picture up there and make it seem like it's his account. That's illegal. Cyberbullying is a real thing. People will put just videos to humiliate people on Instagram. We got a whole section that's called Our School _ and then they'll put some funny name and it'll be a bunch of kids from the school and pictures that they don't want up there, purposefully to humiliate them. That's illegal. Presenting yourself as another person's identity is illegal. Cyberbullying is illegal. Sending any picture obviously I don't have to explain that portion, is illegal. Now, if you get it, youngsters, I sound old when I say that, right? If you get a picture, it's not illegal to get it. If you didn't want it, that's not illegal. The illegal part is if you forward it on to somebody. So if you get something, that's how my case happened yesterday. 2 students got it. They didn't want it. I don't want nothing to do with this. They reported it. They're not in any trouble. Get something you don't want, you're not going to be in trouble just for having it. You're going to be in trouble if you forward it on. So report it. And I'm telling you, if it's something that's sexual related with a child, you're not going to be labeled a snitch. Nobody wants any part of that. That's my experience. If you report that, it's not tattletailing. You don't want anything to do with that situation. So make sure that you report it. Make sure that it fits a crime. If you have a question of whether it fits a crime or not, call us. That's what we're here for. Again, call us and see. You can and you can do a lot of since the COVID, we do a lot more stuff on the phone too. So PDs are used to having phone reports. So if you have a question, just call and see if it fits a crime. And if it does, it's a simple set of rules. And we're all trained on this now. These are what I'm saying: false personation, harassment, cyber stalking, and obviously the sexual pictures, indecent solicitation. These are all crimes. So it's very easy. Everyone know how to screen capture in here? Everyone with Android or I don't even know if those flip phones have a screen. I don't know nobody has a flip phone. I don't want to insult you. I used to have one until about 4 years ago, and then my girl said, "You're embarrassing me. Get rid of that thing." So screenshot is very easy. Screen capture that right away, much as you can. That's the first thing you do. Screen capture. User ID, and we'll show you. There's a huge difference, especially on Snapchat. There's 2 names on Snapchat. One is useless to us. The user ID is the one we need. I've had cases where, serious cases, where people have died, but all we got was that one name that's useless to us. The user ID is what you need. Snapchat cannot help you if you don't have that. And I'll show you in a second where that user ID is located. And that's another thing we didn't know. When you report a crime to us, we do this thing, it's called a preservation letter, that will contact the social media entity about this. Let us do that. Don't report it. That throws everything off when you report it. Let us write that letter and let us do it. We have a protocol that we follow that will help solve the crime. He'll always give you, yes?
How quickly do they respond? Like, you had an inquiry with TikTok or Snapchat. How quickly would they respond to? Is it days? Is it weeks?
No, it's pretty instantaneous. Facebook, we can get a preservation letter going right away.
They respond?
They respond. Facebook responds almost immediately. It's usually within, I want to say sometimes I've gotten it within 10 minutes. Sometimes I can't promise that for every entity. Snapchat is really fast with the preservation letter. They will flag an account, and what they do is they preserve it so they can't go on there and delete all the evidence. So we'll preserve it. Instagram is owned by Facebook, so it's all the same. So it's all relatively quick from my experience. I can't promise that for upcoming ones, but I've always found that pretty easy to get rolling on. They're used to it.
It goes back to the same thing that I said earlier, that it exists elsewhere. He can sit there and he can delete it all he wants on his phone and on his device, but Snapchat still has it.
Yep.
Because it's all going through their servers.
Yep, they'll preserve it.
You know, they think it goes from this phone to your phone and nowhere else. No, it has to go out, and the first place it passes through is whatever app you're using. It's all going through theirs, and every bit of it is tracked.
Yep. There's nothing that's what that preservation letter. There is an expiration on stuff, but the preservation letter makes sure that they give us like a time limit. Do we want it preserved from such and such date? It can go back. I preserved stuff from 2018 all the way to 2022. So it's a lot of reading. So that portion of it could take a long time, but to get that stuff and get it started is pretty quick. And they'll give you a report, a statement. The state's attorney always wants, in my county at least, it's probably the same out here, they always want you to write down so that your memory of the event is fresh, it's right on paper. And now we got body cams too, so that helps. But you always want to just have as much documentation right off the bat, because in case this goes down to trial years from now, because these trials take forever to come if they go through. You want as much documentation as you can. You get all that stuff, and if you're able to, put everything on a flash drive. And it's so easy, you can turn it over right to the officer. But if you can't, then we'll figure out how to do this. We're all trained on how to do this. We'll get it done. All right, here's for Instagram. User ID is very important on Instagram. It's not that bottom. It's not the Field Museum that you see under that logo. It's the one on top of it. Right there. That's the user ID for Instagram. TikTok, it's not the name above it. It's the name underneath it with the @ sign. That's very important. And here's the one that I've lost a lot. Rich Wistocki, that is not the user ID. If you get that one and only that one, I want to rip my eyes out from that case. I remember it specifically. We didn't have the user ID. We just had the name written down. It's the one underneath it. That's the distinct one.
The one above can be changed.
Oh, it could be changed anytime, yeah. Yep. It can be changed anything you want. The user ID can be changed, but it'll always be a record. It's specific to that account. Let me see. Let me go back to that one. And this is one that if your kids have Snapchat, mandate that ghost mode. The location mode is creepy. I mean, you go on there, and if you put location mode, I see where every kid is. It's crazy. Obvious locations. Now, I wouldn't recommend turning the location on your child's phone off. You want to track your kid's phone. You want to. But on certain apps, make sure that stays off. And another hint, anyone in here have Life 360? Or tracking app? You got Andrea? You guys have that? One dead giveaway. Life 360, you can manipulate that. But one dead giveaway, my daughter did years ago when she didn't come home one day and skipped school. She manipulated that and got her butt in big trouble too. But one key thing for Life 360 is that if it's a straight line, then there's something wrong. Life 360, it hits off of cell towers, so it always staggered. It'll always kind of go diagonal and staggered. So that's one thing to keep to notice. If it's a straight line, it's being manipulated. Another thing too is with Snapchat, right here. If anyone's used Snapchat, it will tell you. You send a picture to somebody, if they capture it or they screenshot, it will prompt you, right? It'll tell you so-and-so screenshotted your picture. There's apps that will take that prompt away, and you won't know that they screenshotted what you sent them. How scary is that? There's actually apps that come out to be able to allow predators to operate easier. And another thing, I have two phones. I have a police phone and a regular phone. I've found this to be myself, that this actually happens. You don't have to screenshot. Take out your other phone and just take a picture of that screen. It's the same thing. So always beware of that. What you're sending, you never know what's going to happen with it. So here's Bark. Rich recommends, he's studied these, he's recommends Bark over. There's different apps that you can get that will track and duplicate your child's phone. The iPhone, and you probably know this from, the iPhone is much harder to work with than the Android. The Android, you can get everything in real time. We have this on our school's technology too for the Chromebooks. There's keywords that it'll ping on. I had one kid looking up basketball maybe a few weeks ago, and it pinged on the word shooting. He was trying to learn how to shoot. But he typed in, learn how to shoot, and I found out who it was. I go to the kid, it's a great kid, he's an awesome kid. I was like, what were you texting us? Oh no, I want to try out for the basketball team. And I believed him because he's a good kid. But that's what it prompts you that quickly. It will send the principal, the dean, whoever's in charge at the school, it sends an email right away for keywords. And you can do this for your kids. And with Android, it's in real time for pretty much every app. iPhone, notoriously hard to crack. I don't know why. I don't know why Steve Jobs or whoever's in charge now has made it. We've had cases where you can't get into an iPhone if you don't know the code. It's heartbreaking. There's homicides in my city sitting on contingent on trying to still get in that cell phone because
They will help you, the networks?
the cyber lab can't get into all iPhones.
No, will the networks not help you?
No.
They won't?
No. If it's specific to, they have no way of telling what that kid put in as his passcode. And we literally have had homicides where all we needed was maybe the mom to know that their child's passcode. We could find out who did this.
Yeah.
And we've had, because the parent didn't know. That's so painful. It's a hard pill to swallow. What's that?
I always thought the network could open it. I didn't realize that they couldn't.
I wish. It'd be nice. So here's the one that he recommends. There's more. There's a few on here, but the one he recommends is Bark that is in real time. I know they all have a cost to them, but what's worth your child's safety? I mean, it's not anything in the stratosphere. And he's got on his site. He's got so you can get the first month free on Bark, because that's the one he highly recommends.
If you're researching phones for kids, I bet you're probably a little confused and overwhelmed. There are a ton of options out there. But how do you know which one is best? Spoiler alert, it's the Bark phone, and I'll explain why. Hi, I'm Tanya Jordan, Chief Parent Officer at Bark, a parental controls company. Today, I'm going to talk about 4 phones: Gap, True, Pinwheel, and the Bark phone, and compare some of their features and functions to show you why the Bark phone comes out on top. Let's dive in. We're going to kick off our comparison with design. Many kids' phones come with proprietary branding. Why is this important? Because our phone is only as safe as the one a kid will actually use. And kids can spot a so-called kid's phone from a mile away. Let's compare the top layers. Bark, a regular phone. True, a regular phone. Pinwheel, a regular phone. And Gap comes with Gap branding. Next, let's talk about safety. Only one phone comes with a state-of-the-art monitor tool built right into the phone, and that's Bark. Our technology scans activities in text, social media, and apps, and tells you if there's a potential issue like bullying, depression, sexting, and more. And because it's built into the phone, it can't be tampered with. Okay, how about apps? Pinwheel, Gap, and TrueMe are all pretty locked down and only allow access to a curated list of apps. But every family is different, and kids mature at different paces. At Bark, we believe you should have the final say in what app your kid can download. So we give you the opportunity to allow and unlock any app that is available on the Google Play Store. It's a similar story for web browsers. Gap and Pinwheel don't allow web browsers at all, ever. This can make homework, as well as so many other things, difficult. With TrueMe, you can add your kid's Smart Safe browser, which allows you to add acceptable sites one at a time. Bark, on the other hand, allows access to a web browser at any time you deem appropriate, or you can keep them 100% blocked. It's up to you. Once again, it comes down to flexibility and the ability to customize. Eventually, your child will need the internet, and we recognize that this is important. Part of having a phone is learning how to use it safely and responsibly. If you choose to allow web browsers with the Bark phones, you can use the built-in web blocking filters to help protect them from inappropriate content. Finally, let's talk about service and contracts. The Bark phone's monthly price includes cell service, use of the device, a sleek case, and Bark's premium monitoring, usually a $14 a month value. No cell plan to add or connect, and no contract is required. Talk about easy. With Pinwheel, you can add your own cell service or use the Pinwheel recommended Mint Mobile for an additional fee. With TrueMe, the price includes unlimited talk and text with tiered data plans. With Gap, prices include service, but they're cheaper if you sign a 1 or 2-year contract. In conclusion, the Bark phone is the absolute best option for families in the digital age, whether your child is 8 or 16. Want to lock it down and make it essentially a flip phone? You can. And the best part is you can gradually allow in functionality as your kid matures, or dial it back whenever needed. You can learn more about the Bark phone at bark.us/bark-phone. Take a look. It's an absolute game changer.
So that's pretty much highly recommended to get something. Bark, from his research, is the best one to go with. Luckily, I only have one. All my kids, I only have one with a cell phone in my house right now. So I got smaller ones that are coming up, and we'll deal with that. But to monitor them it's huge, and it's highly recommended. This is Rich's thing. If you guys want to take a picture of this, Rich is his website is information how to get a hold of him. He means that. I call him for any computer crime. Every detective at my PD has his number, and he's accessible all the time. He can help you out. He's a genius. He's a good man. He just cares about safety of kids, and he has. If you ever want to hear some stories, he's seen every case that you could possibly imagine. I wasn't on the computer crime side as much, but I was in charge of violent crimes, homicides, shootings, robberies, and violent crimes against children. So this did come into play quite a bit for me. But Rich is the go-to guy. This was his cup of tea, and he's just, I can't say enough about him. He just wants to make the world better, and he really does. And I wanted to, we got a little early. If there's any Q&A, I wanted to share one thing first. Real quick, it's an own personal story that I have about watch your babies, monitor your babies. I call all my kids babies, so children, I apologize, but they'll always be my babies. My granddaddy called me that till the day he died. Watch your stuff. Watch what they do. Because I learned the hard way for one of mine. And I'm going to show you this video real quick. This ain't the video. Hold on. Remember how I said I had 7 kids? I actually had 8. One of my boys, Tyree. When Tyree was born in Chicago. He was abandoned at the hospital. He never knew his mom, never knew his dad. He got adopted by a foster mom when he was in the hospital after 2 weeks. She died when he was 3. So when I met him, he was 17. He was on probation in my city. He was originally from St. Paul, Minnesota, but he got moved around, foster homes, juvenile centers. Ended up in my city, and he was on probation for stabbing a kid. And he reached out to me, and I was a little weary about meeting because I help a lot of young people, but he talked a little different. So I was a little weary when I first met him. Of course, he tells me to meet him on the most violent block in my city, on 22nd and Hebron. So I go there. I do a lot of stuff I do off duty. So I go there alone and I just meet with him. And all I wanted was help. Turned out to be the most fabulous kid that I ever met. I mentioned earlier I wrote a book. He was writing a book on his life right along with my book. We were doing it together. I'm gonna turn the sound down. It's a little loud. So we were writing a book together, and I went through a lot of mental health issues in my career, so he understood that, and I used to actually go to him to help me because I knew he had a rough life. He actually inspired me. So what he turned out to be was a mixture of my adopted son and my best friend. He took care of my biological son like he was his little brother. Like Tyree he was a fantastic athlete. He was tough. He had such a presence to him. Such a great kid. And April 13th of 2019, I got the worst phone call that anyone could possibly get. He was turning 21. He was getting ready to move in. We were going to have him move in permanently. And we got him a job and on his feet. And just out of nowhere, I get a call. And screaming into the phone that Tyree killed himself. And still to this day, I don't know why. I'll never know why. But I looked on his social media that I hadn't been monitoring like I should have. And the 3 days before he did it, he posted these videos. And if I would have just seen it, I would have saved him. So I say that to say this: watch your baby stuff. Don't ever get relaxed. Don't ever think that something bad's not going on. I had no idea. And I can live with that pain. I can just be miserable all the time with that pain. But I choose to just tell his story, tell the world how awesome my second son was. Because it helps me, and I appreciate you guys letting me tell this story. But at the same time, it could help save a life. Watch your baby stuff. Because that guilt, they tell me don't feel guilty, but that guilt, I'll always want to go back, no matter what. So that's a perfect lesson on how to keep track and monitor your kids. And with that, we love him. When I see him again, I'm going to go out. First, I'm going to scream at him. I'm going to yell at him. And then I'm going to hug him for 10,000 years. But I like to tell a story. And with that, anyone got questions about anything that we talked about?